Hi everyone and welcome back to our channel. And in today's tutorial video, we will be showing you the easiest way to use Parse JSON, how to generate schema without stress. More importantly, while this step changes everything when you are building real world flows, and how this can be helpful when integrating your data source with a third-party application or Microsoft Dynamics, with a company's core business application, right? In this demo, we'll be building a very simple flow that captures the output of a particular table, a JSON, and converting this into a schema. First of all, when initiating a particular flow or any flow in Power Automate, we always start with a trigger, and I have my trigger here which is when a role is added, modified, or deleted in Microsoft Dynamics 365, mapped to the table called the employers table, and the scope to organization. You can have your scope to user level, or business unit level, or parent child level, as you may like it. And this pattern works in Dataverse, SharePoint, Forms API, and most importantly, integration. So let's start. Now I've added my trigger, which is when a role is added, modified, or deleted, right? And this concept applies to any trigger that returns, JSON. The trigger is basically, Power Automate saying, okay, hey, something has changed, and here is all the data that contains what has changed. A real life use case is, updating tables whenever records are changed, synchronizing data to SharePoint or SQL, sending notifications when particular key fields are updated, right? Or even approvals. Now, I'm going to add a card called the compose card, and that is where we have the secret sauce. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm going to be adding a compose card by clicking on next step, and I'm going to be searching for compose. So what does this compose do? This particular compose card, stores the output from the trigger and lets us see the full JSON structure, which we are going to be breaking down into the schema. This also gives us like sample data to generate this schema from. So I'm going to be adding a basic value here to set it to true. And let me save this. And I'll test. You have to save your flow first before you test it. That's like best practice. So I'm going to be testing this now, using a recently used trigger, and I'll test this. Okay, so fine, we can see that this flow runs successfully, and here we should see the JSON of that particular table. Now you can see the table name here is called account. So what we did basically was, in the Microsoft Dynamics Dataverse, we updated the account table to the employers table. This actually is tailored to the customer's business requirements. However, in Power Automate, it reveals the base name of every table. So the account table, don't be confused, the account table is still the employers table we modified right now. So this is our JSON, and we want to create or get the schema from all these particular JSONs you can see here. So what I would do is, I'm going to copy this, and I will edit this particular flow. Now, for me to get the schema for this, I'm going to add a particular card called, the parse JSON, right? So this is also allowing us to break down this JSON into readable and usable fields or schemas, which can be used, or which is going to be easily used for our integration. So to do that, I'm going to be clicking on this plus icon here and clicking on action here. I'm gonna take parse JSON, Okay, so I can see it here, Parse JSON operation here. I'm going to be clicking on it. And a lot might be asking, I mean, what Parse JSON actually does. So a few tips are this converts, um, the raw JSON output that we got initially from our first trigger, converts it into type objects, also makes every field available as a dynamic content, right? Real life use scenarios are, passing structured data to other systems, majorly just integrations basically. So you have two fields in this card, and the content is actually saying where is this particular output coming from, and that is the body. So I'm going to be typing out the body here. It's the body, and the schema is where you're going to have to write out your JSON. So why would I write out my JSON when I've already extracted it from my first trigger? To add the JSON to this particular schema field here, I will just click on generate from sample because I've copied this already before, right? And copying this now, I'm going to be pasting this down here. And what I've done here is to pass that JSON into this pass JSON card. So it's going to create a schema and structure the fields for my integration to work seamlessly, right? So let me just click on done here, right? And we can see this has already broken it down for us already. We can see the type of JSON is this type JSON is object. We can see the properties, and the properties are housing the various fields. You can see open revenue date is a data type string, territory code is an integer. We can see that account ID is a type string as well. So let me save this and test this particular flow, so we can see how we can bring out different structures of these fields from the schema that we just generated. So I'm going to test this now again. Great, so this ran successfully, and of course we can see the body content, we can see the schema here as well, and we can see the output. Now there's another important thing we can test, and this is just the juice, the icing on the cake, to make us understand this better. So if I click on edit now and I go to the compose card, from the compose card I can decide to say, okay, I want to check other values here. So on our dynamic content, we can fetch various fields that we're interested in. So for example, I'm going to be clicking on maybe fetching the created on. Let me see, I'll check the name as well. Let me just check on modified. Modified on is there as well. So I have this particular inputs and I want to get their outputs, right? So when I save this and test again, we're going to be saying just those three structures and how important it can be. So I'll test this. I'll use the recently used trigger and test. Oh, so I hope this useful tip was useful for you. I hope you learned something from our channel today. If this was useful for you, give us a thumbs up, like and repost and share this to your friends so they could gain valuable knowledge from what you've learned today. See you in the next video.